Good morning, what a lovely day, lovely sunrise. Today's video, I want to look at the impact of weight on your speed and pace. So to do that, let's jump to my office and deep dive into the data of those sessions. I'll see you guys there. Hi there, my name is Zach, and I have the goal of reaching the Brisbane Olympics 2032 marathon. Now, as you can see on the screen right here, these are my current PBs, and I'm a long way from making that dream a goal. But I'm hoping, with a lot of determination, patience, and hard work, that I can make it. I would love it if you guys could join me on my journey to go from a below average runner, to a pro. With that said, let's get into today's video. Alright, so I've been having a look through all of my data, all of my training, and I've realized weight makes such a big difference. So I'm currently about 93 kilograms, give or take. Now it does fluctuate 1 or 2 every couple of days, but overall it's about 93. Now when I started, I was at 100 kilos. So I'm down roughly about 6 to 7 kilograms over the last 6 months. So what I want to do today is go through how that affects the training. Now, my training is affected also by how efficient I get, the improvement in endurance, and how long I can sustain the runs. So what we're going to do today is we'll keep it simple. We'll look at power and we'll look at pace. Now I'm going to compare that over 3 different time frames. So today, when I started back in March, when I was at 100 kilos, and somewhere in between in about July, when I was roughly about 96. So roughly every 3 kilograms, seeing how much of a difference that makes to the speed. We'll also have a look at the difference between, say, a flat course and a hilly course, because when you're going upwards, power to weight is actually important. So with that said, let's dive in. So let's start with this one here. So we've got, so it's the 22nd of November, it's the most recent one, roughly look at 93 kilograms. And so I've taken this snippet out of my run. So it's about a 1.5K course. And so you can see for 250 watts, I average 6 minutes and 52 per K. It is 148, so it's roughly endurance zone, but we're not factoring that at the moment. So all we're caring about is this 249 and 652. Now I have got up, I believe here, so this is July. This should be almost the exact same course. And you can see 249, so it's 1 watt difference, but 703 versus 652. So 3 kilograms on the exact same course is about 10 seconds per K, roughly. Now that is pretty interesting to see. Now I am working on my weight. I'm currently, as I said, about 93 kilograms. I would love to get down to about, let's say 65 to 70, let's say 70 kilograms. So still got another 20 plus kilos left to lose. Now I don't advocate you need to lose weight, but for people like me, that is still, I'm very much at the top of the overweight category. I just slipped under the obese. So I was obese when I started. I'm now currently just overweight. So I'm still got so much to lose. But you can see 3 kilograms, which is not that much, is 10 seconds per K. Now over here, so this is probably the best I could find from the starts back in March. Now we've got 240 watts and 741. So it's a bit lower than the 250 we've got here. It's about 10 watts lower, but you can see it's also quite a bit higher. That is probably, so average grade of 0.5% versus 0.1 here. No, not this one, 0.2. So it's a bit hillier on average than what this one is showing, but you can see it's quite a big difference. Even if you were to be conservative and say that, the grade makes a big difference, let's drop that down 20 seconds per K. So you're still looking at 720 per K. This is the best I could find. But yes, you can still see, so 20 seconds per K for the first 3K, 10 seconds for the next. I want to have a look at more of a tougher, when I'm doing like my harder intervals. So here we've got my tempo pace, so 280 watts. So you can see in October, quite recently, I did 610 per K. So that's obviously a bit faster than what I did before at 650, but more power. So at 280 watts for 610, you can see back in July I did 285 at also 610. So on the exact same course, this is actually, I'm not quite sure if there's much fluctuation, maybe there might have been some wind, but we're looking at, say, roughly the same for this more higher intensity. If you then scroll back into March, so I couldn't find probably an exact replica of this session, but the best I could find was this one, and it's got me going at 264 watts for this effort at about 650 per k pace. Now, if you look at what we've done over here, so you can see it was 250 watts in the most recent one for the same pace. That is a 6% growth, so a 6% reduction in energy required in order to complete that effort. 6% is a large return. They say that just using carbon shoes is about a 3% return. So you get twice that by losing a few kilograms. And over time, the more you lose, the faster you get, or the less effort you have to put into that run. Now, what we've done so far is we've looked at a more easier sort of running pace, so my more endurance-based kind of runs. Let's take a look at what happens when you go up a hill. So again, we're going to start in today, and so you can see we've got a 2.3% gradient, and so I'm doing 250 watts, so I'm still staying endurance, but I'm averaging 730 per k. When I was on the flat, over here, I was doing 650, so you can see for the exact same power, it takes 40 seconds per k slower to do the exact same power, but going up a hill. Now let's have a look at what happens when you change that into when I was 3 kilograms lighter. So I can see 250 watts, the exact same power, but 735 per k instead of 728. So it's only 7 seconds per k. 7 seconds can mean a difference over 42k if you're doing a marathon. But that's pretty interesting. What happens though, back when I was in March, back when I was 90 kilograms? So I don't have, as I said, I don't really have the exact same power details, but I've got here, so 265 for 726. Here, 250 for 728. So you've seen the pace is the exact same, but the power is again is 15 watts more. So you can see I'm doing 265, as I said, 15 watts. My heart rate here was 170 beats per minute, whereas here it's 150. So what I can do is I go the exact same speed, but you're going lower intensity, lower power, lower heart rate, which means you can go that speed for longer, and you're so much more efficient, and you're able to push harder. What happens though if you were to go a little bit harder than this endurance pace? So here, what I've got here is my more tempo sort of pace. So 270 watts is about 715 on a 4% grade. Now what happens if you were to take that back and add in 3 kilograms? So here, 276, roughly the exact same power, 277 versus 276, and you can see 746 per k. So we're doing pretty much the exact same gradients, 4.3% versus 4%, but 746 per k versus 715. 30 seconds per k. That is a substantial increase in pace. Just imagine what would happen if you can drop 10 kilograms. You would be over a minute per k faster going uphill. So I'm still sticking at 276, but you're going under 7 minutes per k on the hills. That seems to be what affects a lot of people, is the hills. It is not when you're going flat and fast that weight makes a difference. It's when you're going uphill, it's all about that power to weight. And now, as I said at the start, I do not advocate for losing weight as a training mechanism. You need to be focusing on your training, getting the endurance, getting the tempo, getting the threshold work done. But if you are obese, if you are overweight like I am, I have easily 20 to 25 kilograms of fat on me that will not affect my body's function. If you are someone that is already 70 kilograms and want to lose 5 more, you don't need to. You are fine. Focus on your training. But for people like me, people that are overweight, people that can make those performance gains, That is significant. If you are doing hilly races, so I'm doing Sydney in August, end of August. It's supposedly the hilliest major. I guess there's only 7 majors at the moment, but it's the hilliest of the majors. It's not that hilly. My training in my local area is hillier. That is the key. For those sorts of races, being lighter is going to be so much better, give you such a bigger return. If you can maintain your current level of performance, you maintain your current power, your current pacing. If you lose some weight, that is where the gains are. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.